Key management is responsible for several aspects of dealing with our encryption keys. First off, key management is responsible for securely generating those keys. Those keys need to be verified. That's also a requirement. Those keys need to be exchanged. We need to store the keys, and we need to destroy the keys. So all of these are the different aspects that are involved in key management. Key management has to do with how we are going to securely encrypt, exchange, store, and so on, these different keys that we'll use for encryption. So let's start with key generation. In most cases, we're not going to leave this up to the user. We're going to automatically generate a key, and depending on the algorithm that we use, we have more secure algorithms. Oftentimes you'll see Diffie-Hellman used here. The idea behind automated key generation is that we ensure randomization. Now, no matter what, we're going to have some keys that are weak. They're repeated more often than not. And so in my crypto system, I'm able to reject these automatically and have these keys regenerated, especially when they're the ones that we know are created too frequently. They're weak keys, and there's just nothing we can really do about that. In the key storage aspect, we could store that key in memory. And when we deal with a multi-user machine and that key is stored in memory, then that means that other users have access to memory, and potentially a Trojan horse can get to that key when it's sitting in swap memory. And so we have to be real careful with our key storage and make sure that it's not kept in a location that's easily accessible. With the key exchange, obviously we have to agree on the keying material that's going to be used. And this is part of the negotiation of our cipher suite that we go through. And then key revocation. Whenever we revoke a key, all parties need to be told that the key is no longer valid and that it's destroyed. And we also need to securely erase those old keys. Again, all this is part of key management. Now, speaking of keys, you might just think of a keychain and you have some keys hanging from the keychain, but in the digital world, a key is more than that. Really, a key is just a set of bits, and they're bits that are in different variations. And so when we look at a binary value, or when we identify a key space, what we're really talking about is all of the possible key values that can come from a certain key size that we define. So for example, let's say that we're using a 16-bit key. Well, in that case, what we need to look at is that it's going to be 2 to the 16th, or we could say that there are 65,536 possible key values that can come from a 16-bit key. And as we add more bits to the key size, we add more possible keys that could be generated. So if we just add a single bit, then essentially we double the key space size. So in this example here, we have a key space. It's all these different bits that could generate a different key. And within it, we can see keys that are pulled out of that key space. So the key space isn't going to be the entire 65,536 different bit values. It's going to be 16 bits of those 65,536. Now we need to consider key length. This is an important aspect of key management because brute force attacks are going to target our key space. And so with a small key space, an attacker can attempt all possible keys until they find the one that's going to decrypt our traffic. However, the larger the key, the larger the amount of time it will take for an attacker to find it. And by today's standards, that could be billions of years, trillions of years. One thing we do need to consider here, however, is that we have to balance between the length of the key and our performance. So the larger the key, the more it's going to take for my system to be able to compute it. And so striking a balance between those is definitely of interest to anyone who's dealing with key management.